2020. COVID stimulus bill number 3, $900 billion. This is a 39.6 Facebook and YouTube live finance show that teaches high earners like yourselves how to make your money work for you so you don't have to work for your money. We talk general investing, taxes, real estate, syndications, Airbnb, paying for college, paying for childcare, even the car you drive. Today's episode, what's in the news? Congress agrees to the third COVID stimulus package of $900 billion after months of failed negotiations, from this CNBC article published just a few hours ago and just updated half an hour ago. All right, Congress reached a deal today, on a $900 billion coronavirus relief package. Lawmakers will move to vote for the proposal along with a full-year government spending bill as soon as Sunday night. Millions of Americans have awaited aid for months as Congress failed to agree on another plan to boost a healthcare system and economy buckling under the weight of the pandemic. All right, so just a refresher. Back in May, they had the first stimulus package, which was $3 trillion. And then a few months later, they had the second stimulus package, which was $2 trillion. So that's $5 trillion. And now this is $900 billion. So $5.9 billion. Let's just round that off. $6 billion in total. Now, yesterday we talked, or the other day I talked about the COVID vaccine and how like $12 billion was put into R&D and manufacturing of the drug. That is like, it's interesting because we had allocated a lot of resources to it, but in reality, the amount of resources that were allocated to the vaccine relative to all of the other COVID-related expenses actually is a rounding error. I mean, it's so small. So $12 billion for vaccine out of $6 trillion. So 1% of 6 trillion is 60 billion. So this is like 1/5 of 1%, 0.2%. It's a rounding error. Isn't that crazy? But that's just, on the vaccine. But so this third stimulus bill, $900 billion, comes out. I'll give a summary based on what's here. The relief plan will include direct payments of $600 to most adults and $600 per child. We have 2 children, 2 adults. That would be $2,400. Okay, I'm not, and I won't argue with that. We don't need extra money. There's way more people out there who need the money. There will be, I'm sure, some sort of cutoffs, and we pay a lot of tax because our taxable income is very high. But crazily, the people who are able to get their taxable income super low with losses from things like bonus depreciation, they could actually qualify for a stimulus bill and get paid taxes back to them. But that's a minority of people. The vast majority of people in America who are getting this will provide this will provide them actually probably a benefit that can be useful, and if anything will allow them to spend more money, which is really the purpose of this, is to stimulate the economy, because if people receive money, people spend money, unfortunately. And I actually saw a statistic on a different talk that with the stimulus package, 37% of people were planning to cut back their holiday spending. Or sorry, without one, it was 37%. But with a stimulus bill, only 30% would decrease their holiday spending. So I guess that's the difference. But Yeah, so $600 to most adults. So if you have a family, 2 adults, 2 kids, that's $2,400. That's a good amount of cash, but that's like a one-off, right? So that's not going to necessarily really change a lot for a lot of people. I had heard stories. I don't know statistically how accurate it is in terms of populations, but I remember hearing stories that when the stimulus bills came out before, there were literally people lining up to buy items that were like equal to the amount of the stimulus checks, like on luxury purchases. But that's part of the point, is to get people to spend money, because then businesses can stay afloat. But so alongside the direct payments to people, there's $300 federal unemployment supplement. So that's like $300 per week for people on unemployment. This was $600 per week before in the old program, but that expired in the summertime. $600 a week is actually pretty good money. That's tax-free money. People can live off of that. And in fact, that's actually more take-home pay than a lot of people have. And so there were people who didn't want to necessarily come back to work because they were enjoying unemployment payments, at least from articles that I read, not anybody that I know personally. But so $300 per week, and that would continue, I believe, for 11 weeks going into March. So this would extend or kind of reinstate paying people that extra money for being unemployed. So that to me is actually a little bit maybe more helpful than just giving them a one-off payment. Giving people regular money that they get in small bites is more likely to help support their needs and keep them financially more solvent, able to put food on the table, for example. Now, there are a number of other expenses. It's supposed to put $25 billion into a rental assistance plan, but also extending the federal eviction moratorium for an unspecified amount of time. I had read a different article previously that said it was going to be extended to January 31st, at least for now. So for people who are planning to evict people on January 1st, looks like that's not going to happen. But again, the eviction moratorium has a number of requirements. So people would have to meet those requirements to still not be evictable. But those people who do meet those requirements, yeah, they get an extra month. But $25 billion of rental assistance, these are things that you can try to get that money. So if you are a property owner, a landlord, and you have people who have qualified, potentially you can get them or be able to apply to get this cash to help pay for back rent and future rents. All right. Yeah, one of the problems, because of the gap in these packages, according to this, nearly 8 million people estimated to have fallen into poverty in the meantime, and that's really not surprising. That's about 2.5% of the population who went from not being impoverished to being impoverished. It's very simple to imagine, because when people are living paycheck to paycheck before the pandemic and then they lose their jobs, unfortunately, many more people become impoverished. So this $900 billion stimulus plan is first one in a number of months. I don't know how much this is really going to help overall, because we are still in a situation where, number of COVID numbers are like at record highs nationally, like every day, every week, like $2,500 people a day on average. Right now, we're looking at like 75,000 people a month. If this rate were flat for a whole year, that's like 1 million people, right? 900,000 people, 75,000 times 12, but 75,000 people right now per month. And again, this is that's assuming it stays flat. This is a virus. It doesn't really go flat. steady state. It pretty much is either going up or it's going down. And it right now is going up, and it's really disappointing to see. Despite the vaccines coming out, the vaccines are getting to a tiny proportion of the country. Less than 1% of the country has been able to get access to the vaccine thus far. Of course, that is changing quickly. But in terms of changing the number of COVID infections and deaths and having a substantial impact, it's going to take a long time. But yeah, $900 billion. This will happen now. It's interesting how it happens. Like today, they had to literally pay money to get the government to stay open for like 1 day, and supposedly had to get the president to sign off on the 1 day extension of like government funding so they can get through to tomorrow, and then potentially try to extend it again. This is all silly. I don't know how this is how things work, but it is. And at the end of the day, $900 billion, giving $600 per person as a one-off. Until businesses can safely open and people can have stable jobs, it's going to be hard to imagine that this is going to last very long, because they burned through $5 trillion, earlier this year. And yeah, $900 billion is just not that much. If you took $900 billion, divided it by 300 million people, that's like $3,000 per person on average. It's just not that much money. So, I mean, our deficit is going to go up higher and higher. But I mean, you're never going to get out of a deficit if you don't have businesses to generate income and pay taxes, and people paying taxes. This is supposed hopefully a once in a century thing. The Spanish flu was 1918, and this is 2020. Hopefully, we take all this debt and can get out of this economically sound and pay this back over time. But we have to get people vaccinated. People have to get vaccinated. People have to have access to it. People have to get it, and we have to get on top of this, like other countries managed to do a long time ago. But we are the land of the free here, and we're paying for it right now, at the tune of $900 billion today, in tax revenue, which are in deficit. Which only way to make up federal deficit is with taxes. So it's going to be, especially depending what happens January 5th. We'll see what happens with those other Senate elections. But I mean, the money's going to have to come from somewhere. And I personally don't really mind paying it so much, as long as we can get everything in a better position. So, all right, that's enough for this short holiday episode. This will be voted on by tomorrow, it sounds like. And maybe people are going to get money in their bank accounts for Christmas. It's a Christmas present. We shall see. All right. That's it for episode 144. That's a perfect square. That's like the last number I remember learning. When you're like in elementary school, you're on your times tables. 144, the bottom corner. It's crazy. 144 episodes already. Maybe we'll hit 150 by the end of the year. Yeah, we have time to do that. All right, I'll do it. 6 more episodes in the next 10 days, 11 days. Sure. Sounds good. All right. Have a good night. And until tomorrow, this is for my entertainment, hopefully yours. It's not legal, professional, any other advice. Please consult a financial professional for making any of your own financial decisions. Take care.